Akiko, are you ready? Hello, may I have your attention, please? I hope you all enjoyed your food. Tonight we have with us for our lecture series program a notable speaker, Dr. Saqib Riaz, who is a professor in the Department of Mass Communication, Allama Iqbal Open University in Islamabad, Pakistan. He is a well-known media scholar of Pakistan, and he has recently joined Indiana University in Bloomington as a postdoctorate scholar. Dr. Saqib did his master's in mass communication from Punjab University in Lahore in 1992 and his PhD in mass communication from AIOU in Islamabad in 2004. In 2005, he received his higher education of journalism and mass communication from the International Institute of Journalism in Berlin, Germany. He is the author of 3 books on journalism and media studies. His latest book is entitled Agenda: Studying Role of Media in Pakistan. He has achieved a number of awards and honors during his professional career. He is a freelance journalist and contributes articles to national and international newspapers. Dr. Saqib has published 36 research articles in international research journals. Dr. Saqib has the honor to present his country in an international media conference held in Germany in March of 2010. Dr. Saqib is now with us tonight, and he will be speaking on the role of media in Pakistan, evolution, development, and challenges. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Saqib Riaz.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Yurtsever. I remember when 2 years ago, Dr. Ali was in Islamabad, he was addressing, and I was sitting among the audience. And today the situation is vice versa. Thank you very much, sir, giving me this opportunity to share some of my views with the respected audience. Before starting the actual topic, I would like to share a few words about the creation of Pakistan. It was a historic event in 700 and... Okay. Okay. In 711, a ship was kidnapped by pirates in the Indian Ocean near Karachi, and a number of women and children were kidnapped by the pirates. And Raja Dair, who was the local ruler of Sindh, he was supporting those pirates. Someone wrote a letter to Jaj bin Yusuf, who was Governor Makkah at that time. He prepared a small army under the leadership of his nephew Muhammad bin Qasim. Muhammad bin Qasim was a 17-year-old boy who was leading his army. He attacked the ship and released the women and children who were kidnapped by pirates. He attacked on Sindh and conquered a large area of India at that time. It was actually, although he was called back by his uncle Jaj bin Yusuf, but many people who were accompanying him in his army, they settled in India and start preaching of Islam. So this was beginning of Islam in India. And after some time, some warriors from Afghanistan, some from Central Asian states, they attacked some areas of India and conquered and captured many areas and ruled. And there was a time when the whole India became under the Muslim rule, and Muslims ruled over India for almost 200 years. But in 19th century, they became weaker and weaker, and Britishers who entered India on the name of trade, and the name of their trading company was East India Company. They entered India, but because of the weak control of the rulers, they started capturing different areas of India, and in 1857, they became the rulers of the whole India. So after that time, the local residents, Hindus and Muslims, first of all, they started their joint efforts, their joint struggle to get rid of Britishers. But afterwards, some events happened that forced Muslims of India to consider and to struggle for the achievement of a separate piece of land for them. So Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, who is our national poet and philosopher, actually he presented the idea of the creation of Pakistan. And in 1930, his idea was approved by All Pakistan Muslim League. And so the Muslims of India started their separate movement to get their separate piece of land. And on August 14, 1947, they achieved Pakistan. So when Pakistan was established, there were a lot of problems, financial problems, and settlements of migrants from India. There was no industry, there was no agriculture, and there were a lot of problems. And in addition to these problems, the situation of media in Pakistan was very, very miserable. Almost all of the major newspapers were publishing in those areas which were in India. Some of them shifted their offices from Delhi to Karachi, but these were only a few newspapers. Television was not reached at that time, and in Pakistan at that time only there were 3 radio stations, one in Dhaka, which is now capital of Bangladesh, and 2 more, one in Lahore and one in Peshawar. These 2 radio stations were working at that time. After some time, some newspapers shifted from India to Pakistani areas, and they started their publication. And in 1958, General Ayub Khan became the president of Pakistan. He enforced his first martial law, and he remained president of Pakistan for almost 11 years. In his time period, his advisor advised him, if you want to succeed, you should have a control over media. So he established an institute named as NPT, National Press Trust of Pakistan, was established in 1960, and this trust ultimately took over the ownership of almost all of the major newspapers being published at that time. This process was called as nationalization. It means when the government is taking over the control of some private organizations, it is called as they call it nationalization. So on the name of nationalization, almost all of the major newspapers went under the control of the government of Pakistan, and they started publishing only one side and only one view of the government, and they were favoring and supporting the government. Ultimately, their circulation declined, and they had to stop their publishing. But during this time period, during the era of General Ayub Khan, in November 1964, Pakistan Television started its broadcasting. In the beginning, it was a black and white transmission, and afterwards, in 1975, its transmission transferred into colored broadcasting. So until 2002, it was only one state-owned and state-controlled television stations, which is called as Pakistan Television Station. But after 2002, a lot of private television channels started their broadcasting, and now we have more than 100 television channels in the country. So the era of the time period of General Ayub Khan was a period of curbs on press freedom, there was not at all any press freedom, and the media was forced to support and favor the government policies. After the era of General Ayub Khan, the second martial law was imposed. General Jaja Khan imposed this martial law, and he became chief martial law administrator, and he remained almost 2 years. And in 1970, but during his short time period, in 1971, there was another event in which East Pakistan was separated from Pakistan, and it became Bangladesh. There were several reasons for this, because there was a big geographical distance. On one side of the India, there was West Pakistan, which is now Pakistan, and on the other side of India, there was East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. There was a language barrier. They were speaking Bangla language, and Pakistani people were speaking Urdu language. Only few people were able to speak and understand English, but they were only few. So language was also a barrier, and this is interesting to state that Pakistani language Urdu is derived from Arabic and Persian, and it is written from right to left, while Bangla is derived from Sanskrit, and it is written from left to right. So there were some other problems, and language problems, cultural problems, but political problems were also there. And in 1970 elections, when Pakistan People's Party won his seats from West Pakistan, and Awami League from the East Pakistan, and they were having more seats than PPP, but they were not given a chance to rule the government. So there were several other reasons too, and so the ultimate result was that East Pakistan was separated from Pakistan, and it became Bangladesh, and West Pakistan is now Pakistan. In this situation, media could not play its role because of the curbs on media. Media did not play its role in spreading uniformity and harmony between the people of Pakistan. So it was ultimate result. After that, Pakistan People's Party became the ruling party of Pakistan. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the father-in-law of the present president of Pakistan, Mr. Zardari, he became Prime Minister of Pakistan. This was a democratic government, this was a political government, but even then, during this time period, media was not free in Pakistan. The government, several journalists and newspapers were closed, and several journalists were arrested who criticized the policies of Mr. Bhutto. For example, Jasarat newspaper was closed several times, and several other newspapers and magazines were closed during this time period. One of the most important thing which we can see, that each and every government, whether it is political or it is military, it has wish and it has its desire that media should support its policies, and media should not criticize its policies. That's why we can see that press has never been free in Pakistan, whether it was a military government or it was a democratic government. After Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, on July 5, 1977, General Ziaul Haq imposed third martial law of Pakistan, and he remained ruler of Pakistan for almost 11 years. So it was also a period when media was not free. Many journalists were arrested during this time period. Many newspapers were closed. So during almost all of his tenure, journalists of Pakistan continued their struggle for press freedom. When his aeroplane was crashed in September 1988, then then a new time period and a new era of democracy started. And from 1988 to 1999, in this time period, Benazir Bhutto remained Prime Minister of Pakistan for 2 times, and Mr. Nawaz Sharif also remained Prime Minister of Pakistan for 2 times. During this time period, almost all of the rulers, they did not allow media to work freely, and it was their wish and desire that media should praise them and media should not criticize them. So there were several ways in which rulers and governments try to obtain the sympathies of the journalist. There are several things which, for example, some senior journalists are offered foreign trips, and when presidents and prime ministers, this is not situation of Pakistan only, but almost all of the developing countries, such things happen there. That when president or prime minister of Pakistan or some other developing country come to United States or UK or some other developed countries to attend some meeting, they bring a huge mob of 200 or 300 journalists just to get their sympathies. And there is no use of them. I remember last year when our former Prime Minister, Mr. Gilani, came here, he brought a crowd of 300 journalists here in United States, and Manmohan Singh brought a crowd of 400 journalists from India. So both of the countries destroyed their billions of dollars on this to facilitating in these 700 people. This amount could be invested for the betterment of their people. So there is no need to bring this huge crowd, even because almost all of the newspapers, all of the media organizations, television channels, they have their correspondents here in the United States. They can report the activities of the president and prime minister. There is no. However, these are the techniques through which rulers gain sympathies of the journalist. So after the era of Nawaz Sharif in 1999, General Pervez Musharraf took over the charge of the government. He was a 4th military dictator, and he remained president of Pakistan until 2008. He was not in favor of media freedom, but the situation was so that he could not stop the freedom of media, because some television channels already started working, and they started their broadcasting from Singapore and UAE, and the government of Pakistan could not control their broadcasting. Ultimately, the government had to establish a new organization called as PEMRA, Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority. This organization, this institute was established in 2002 to facilitate and regulate the electronic media in Pakistan. This statutory body has its legal powers to issue licenses to television stations, to issue licenses to radio stations, and now we have almost more than 100 television channels in Pakistan. Only one is state-controlled Pakistan television channel, who has become a mouthpiece and spokesperson of the government of Pakistan, and no one sees this channel. But we have a lot of other television channels. We have international television channels who has landing rights issued by the PEMRA, and like BBC, CNN, etc. So we have more than 100 radio stations which are working across the country. In these 100 radio stations, some are working as working in universities as non-commercial radios, but most of them are working as commercial radio stations. Now, at this time, we have almost 3 dozen newspapers in English and Urdu, which are having an international standard newspapers, and we have some found some magazines of international standard. We have a lot of news agencies, although the most prominent and the biggest news agency is owned by the government of Pakistan, but there are a lot of other private news agencies working in the country, and there are a lot of advertising agencies, there are a lot of public relations departments. So now the Pakistani media is going on its path of freedom, and it's playing its role for the awareness and education and entertainment of people. Now I would like to talk some of the challenges Pakistani media is being faced. I think the most important challenge is the security issue, especially after 9/11. The situation became very difficult in Pakistan. Pakistan had to face a lot of problems and still facing, and Pakistani journalists are facing a lot of problems. Many journalists have been killed during this war against terrorism in the last 11 years. And many journalists have received threats, and some of the journalists lost their families during this war against terrorism. So I think one of the biggest challenge being faced by Pakistani journalists is that they are facing security problems. In addition to this problem, there is another problem of financial problems. Most of the journalists are paid very less, and they don't enjoy any facilities who are working in faraway rural areas especially, and they are paid very, very less. So this is also a problem. There are some other problems. There is a problem of lack of training. There is no training opportunities are not available for Pakistani journalists. So one of the challenges that the media organizations working in developing countries, they have to rely heavily on the Western media for information. For example, the news item which is released by AP of America or Reuters of UK or AFP of France, the media of developing countries accept it and publish it as it is. Anything, any news item, any story which is being released by the international news agencies, it is published on the front pages or with very good placement in the media. In the same way, television channels also broadcast such stories, and so they have to rely on Western media. In the same way, there are certain other problems and challenges. For example, in developing countries, including Pakistan, newspapers have very less circulation. Very few people purchase newspaper and read it because because of the low literacy rate, because of the financial problems, because of certain other issues. The circulation of newspapers is very low as compared to developed countries of the world. So, yeah.
Could you give the number of circulation?
It is the largest widely circulated Urdu newspaper has 100,000 circulation. It's the largest Urdu newspaper, and the English newspapers have very, very low news circulation because only very few people can read and buy newspaper. In a country where who has the population of 180 million, their circulation of newspapers is only 100,000. The largest newspaper has only 100,000 circulation. So these are the challenges being faced by the Pakistani media, and there are certain other problems. For example, for electronic media, if you want to operate a television, you should have electricity. But in most in areas, in faraway areas of Pakistan, there is electricity is not available, so they cannot see television. So if there is available, there is a huge shortage of available. Even big cities of Pakistan, even Islamabad, the federal capital of the country, is having a huge shortage of electricity. 1 hour there is electricity, and the next hour there is no electricity. So these are the problems which Pakistani media is facing, and yet there are several pressure groups. There are pressure groups in the country. Several political parties have their pressure groups, several religious groups have their pressure groups, who enforce journalists to favor them, who enforce journalists to publish their news story as they wish and desire, and not to publish any news story against them. So this is even they threat newspaper journalists, and even sometimes journalists are kidnapped, and sometimes their children are kidnapped by these people, and they have to do something for that. So this kind of problems and challenges are being faced by media in Pakistan, but in spite of all these problems and challenges, Pakistani media is playing its role for the betterment of the country, for the awareness of the people of Pakistan, for the political education of the people of Pakistan, and for the economic prosperity of the people of Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you for an excellent presentation. I got a lot of education about Pakistan, the history, and a lot of interesting things. You must have quite a few different religions there. The major one, of course, is Islam. You have some, I expect or imagine that you have a lot of Hindu people, and probably you have some tiny small minorities of Christian, Jews, other things, Buddhists, or whatever. Once in a while we hear about some frictions and some troubles against minority from other religions. Is the media having any role to make things better or to defend minorities or anything like that?
I think minorities are enjoying a lot of freedom in Pakistan, and they have their rights equal to majority. And even in the very beginning of Pakistan, Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the founder of Pakistan, he said very clearly that in Pakistan there will be a complete religious freedom to all religions of the world. So that is a basic principle which we have in our country. If certain events happen in which some majority creates problems for the minority, these events can be happened in anywhere in the world, but these are only a few, not very much.
What's the media role of the media in promoting this kind of stuff or resolving situations?
Yes, the media, the role of media should be to create harmony, to create religious harmony between different sects and between different religions and between different ethnic groups of Pakistan. Pakistan is already facing a lot of problems because of ethnicity and because of sectarianism and because of these problems for minorities.
Is the media doing the effort?
Yeah.
Defending minorities
Yeah.
when there's
Yeah, of course. Media organizations are playing their role in creating this harmony between majority and the minorities, and they are protecting the rights of minorities. And I see most of the television channels give a huge coverage on the religious events of the other religions. For example, Christmas, for example, Sikhs come from India every year in the month of April, and Pakistani media give tremendous coverage to Sikhs, and even some Buddhist leaders come to celebrate the birthdays of Buddha and to attend some seminars and conferences in Pakistan, and they are they are having very good coverage from media. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Lately, there was a very systematic move to malign the Chief Justice of Pakistan through media, which basically the Dunya TV and Luqman and Meera were involved in the drama they played. That means basically the media is also doing the dirty job of the government.
Yes, I'm sorry that such events, sometimes such events happen that the anchor persons and journalists play a very dirty role. Even nowadays, there is a big fight between the government of Pakistan and the judiciary of Pakistan and the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And today the Supreme Court of Pakistan has again summoned the new Prime Minister of Pakistan on some time during this month. So in this situation there was another event I know very well. Yes, this is the problem that sometimes journalists don't realize the responsibilities of their job and profession, and they sell their conscience, and they sometimes they become a puppet in the hands of the government or some unseen forces. That is a tragedy, I can say. Yes, sir.
My name is Sulaiman Khan. I'm from Peshawar, Pakistan, Mardam. Just a little bit clarification, though I should have not gone late, but you mentioned about the Bangladesh. So you should have mentioned also that when there was election in 1970, Mujibur Rahman, Awami League, got 160 seats. He didn't last 2 seats. There were 162 seats. Out of 162, he won 160. 2 seats he left to 2 politicians as a courtesy, as a respect. Okay. On the other hand, you're right, the Pakistan People's Party was majority.
Yeah.
But the military, the military regime at the time, and I have great respect for Zulfikar Bhutto. I'm his great admirer because he was a great politician and a great man. But he was also aligned with the military regime at that time. And you should have mentioned that this was unfortunate that 2 million people were massacred in Bangladesh, Pakistan, East Pakistan, that time of Bangladesh. And their sisters think, so cannot mention what about the women. In even the 25th March 1971, Mujibur Rahman had a public meeting at Pleasant Park, a famous neighbor place. And there were a couple of millions of people there. And he said, we can live like brother and sister even now. But the second March 6th, there was a full military operation, and as I said, 2 million people were massacred. I mention this because there are some sister and brothers, non-Pakistani, and they should know that the true history. This is unfortunate, throughout the history. The big problem is our military. The military, wait, this is, I'm supposed to answer. The military is a big problem. They are political hegemony with them. As far as the press is concerned, media, I understand that they have got a freedom. but the media is still not neutral. This is still taking the side. For an example, every day, the poor people in tribal area of Pakistan are being killed by the drone attacks.
Yeah.
Very little time are given to them. And there we have more than 140 military forces in the tribal area, killing innocent people,
Yeah.
using F-16.
Yeah.
This media is silent about it. So these are, I mean, they are a corporation. They are making money, the owners of the media, but they are not representing the aspiration and true interest of the other people. So how you will say? Do you think it's a neutral media?
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your emotions, and I agree with your comments regarding the separation of East Pakistan. Yes, of course, it was a big tragedy in Pakistan, and politicians as well as army was also responsible for this tragic event, and I agree with your comments. And the second issue about the drone attacks or about the killings of innocent people in the tribal areas of Pakistan, yes, hundreds and hundreds of people innocent people are being killed by drone attacks almost every day on the name of this war against terrorism. Media raises these issues from time to time, but media, what can media do in this situation when government is not ready to do something? And so these are actual problems. I agree with you. I agree with your emotions and your comments, sir. Thank you, sir.
My name is Nawaz. I represent Pakistan, Thailand, America, and Canada. My question is very much simple. As one of my friends pointed out from Mubashir Rahman, there are some media persons who are playing dirty games. So, do you think that there should be an ethic and there should be a code of ethics for them, or they should be given total freedom? Because some people are playing in the name of freedom. There must be some restrictions on them or not. What do you suggest?
Obviously, there should not be at all any freedom to these persons who are playing dirty games. But the tragedy is that when some prominent media person, when some prominent anchor person or journalist leaves one organization, the other media organizations accepts him or her on the same day. The same was happened with this case when he was terminated. When this person was terminated from Dunia TV channel, he was accepted by ARY television channel, and the lady is still associated with the same TV channel. They are so much influential that even big media organizations cannot take any step against them. This is a tragedy, and this event which you mentioned and which my other country fellow mentioned, obviously it was a tragedy in the history of media, and people think that what media people are doing these dirty games. Yes, code of ethics is a necessity of the day, but unfortunately it does not happen there. There is no code of ethics by the government or even by the media organizations. If they formulate or make some code of ethics, it is not followed in its true spirit. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa
My name is Usman. I guess the question then is, at the end of the day, these are corporations. There's more than 100 corporations that are trying to make money, and the overwhelming audience or consumers are uneducated. Let's be honest, most people in Pakistan live in villages, and they're very uneducated, and they don't have access to internet or worldwide media where they would know information objectively. So you have 90 corporations or 100 corporations that are trying to pander to this vast audience of 180 million people, and they're trying to make money. And how do you make money? How do you be profitable in this saturated market? You're going to sell something that's going to be sensational. Matter of fact, this morning, I knew I was coming to this lecture, and every morning I read New York Times, and there was an article on there, and I have it here on my phone. It's called "Conversion